Honest J. Nowak. Coming at you live. Alright. A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to some more Honest J. Nowak graphics. Today, let's get focusing on with another little thing relating to the Call of Duty franchise, but this one seems to be a bit more overlooked than most others, but yet many of us can probably remember it for all time's sake. Call of Duty Ghosts, released in 2013, making it the first Call of Duty installment to be released on the PlayStation 4 at the time it was first entered into the marketplace. The PlayStation 4, by all means, has probably the greatest library of video games I've ever had the chance to play. And being that I was able to pretty much grow up throughout the majority of its lifespan, I'm more than just excited to be talking about so many other titles out there. But Call of Duty Ghosts, it probably is not necessarily top-notch, at least for the time period that it was released in. And more importantly, for the way that Treyarch and the like have been treating the series in more recent years. Throughout the 2010s, Treyarch, Sledgehammer, and Activision, and a variety of other companies that have been responsible for handling the Call of Duty franchise, has basically given us an amazing, figurative load of Call of Duty games to work with. And I tell you, starting with Black Ops 1, then working its way up to the very present day. Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2, Ghosts, Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare, Modern Warfare 1 Remastered, World War 2, then of course you got yourself all the others that have taken place. The infamous Black Ops 4, and then Modern Warfare Retold, Call of Duty Cold War, Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remastered, and pretty soon we'll also have ourselves Call of Duty Vanguard, which unfortunately I will not be able to play. Sorry guys. We got way too much happening around here, and I probably won't even be able to play a lot of other games that you might have requested for me to do. But at least I'm going to go ahead and talk about Ghosts at a very honest level for today. Ghosts was certainly a lot different than others. Not only for being the fourth ever sort of entry that had happened throughout most of the 2010s, and also for being the first ever entry into the PlayStation 4 era. But for all Call of Duty fans out there who are wanting to know, then well, I'll simply put it out like this. Ghosts is different. Much more different than the likes of many others. It's different in terms of feel, in terms of quality, in terms of gameplay, in terms of story, in terms of lore, in terms of mechanics, in terms of characters, in terms of, well, production, design, and likewise. Ghosts is just utterly different than the likes of many others that we've seen so far. The whole franchise of Call of Duty itself had started with a handful of games that were reminiscent to that of World War II sort of efforts, with Call of Duty 1, 2, 3, Finest Hour, and eventually working its way up to the 2008 installment, simply referred to as World at War. For me though, it really began with the Modern Warfare trilogy from 2007 to 2011. Just like with, well, the Michael Bay vs. Transformers first trilogy, pretty much. But it's safe to say that Ghosts, it probably is not all too different amongst other things. It only has difference in sort of, well, feel, quality, and all the other things that I pretty much mentioned. But I will go as far to point out that while it does seem like it's a whole different example of Call of Duty being taken together for a whole new console generation, I'm still going to go off the bets to say that it's probably not all that bad. Because guess what? I've played it myself. I've played it for GWK content production. I've played it especially during seasons 1, 2, and 3, and a little bit of 4 and 5. But I'm still going to go off the bat and say it's probably not at all that good of a title either. So it's not at all bad. It's not at all that good. It's probably just more or less okay. Much like with how most people thought of when the Aliens films came out. There was Alien, which was released in 1979, was made for all time, is a true classic amongst all things that had taken place. And the sequel happened to be even better than the first one. It was a very unlikely success, an unlikely sense of hope and regard, because sequels always seem to be doomed in some sort of way. But Aliens from 1986 proved us all wrong. Then came Alien 3. It was a lot different from the others. It had its own feel, had its own quality and story, and a not so well put stuff together otherwise, but in its own right, it probably is a good sequel. Call of Duty Ghosts is not at all a sequel or reboot or any other things. It's just like with a lot of other companies out there, having to make more original projects to appeal to different audiences who might not necessarily like all of the things out there that might feel the same as many others have. With the Call of Duty franchise going from the original Call of Duty games out there in the 2000s up until the Modern Warfare series, then World at War, which then turned into the Black Ops series, which is basically the biggest series that we got in the Call of Duty franchise. When discussing Ghosts, though, it's a whole different story. The plotline revolves around a few different soldiers whom are basically on the brink of some sort of apocalypse taking place. A series of invasions that are taking place under the command of a mercenary leader known as Rourke. And you have the likes of many others, with Hesh, Logan, and a variety of other different people out there whom are willing to put a stop to Rourke's plans for domination. It's that classic example like when Family Guy used Stewie Griffin as a way to try to put out world domination. But yet, some of these characters seem to fail every which way but loose. In the case of Rourke, though, it's certainly not at all that different. It's almost like you actually took the bare examples of a scenario where Family Guy's own character lineup, including Stewie, is basically set foot on the plains of an apocalyptic sort of event. But when you really think about it, though, just follow me here, World War II and the likes of many other games out there relating to the Call of Duty series, in their own rights, they happen to be some of the greatest we've ever seen before. Advanced Warfare was something that I consider to be just purely amazing. The fact that they were able to bring along Kevin Spacey as the main antagonist says something to us. And then when you look at World War II, the fact that it actually goes as far to its roots as possible, like what they did with the first few games that they ever released, then well, it just goes to show that somehow Call of Duty can actually go back to their own roots and try to build themselves back up to a point where they can actually be a great series all over again. Ghosts, unfortunately, does seem to fall flat in most ways. Albeit it does have a good selection of different weapons. It's got a somewhat memorable cast out there. It's got some notable things out there, graphically and otherwise. But above all that, I'm not necessarily seeing a lot with this exact title. Albeit with a lot of other titles out there that have come before it, like the Black Ops duology at the time, which of course was preceded by World at War, and then of course with the Modern Warfare trilogy, which was already at its third game before then, and who could ever forget with the many other things out there that were already existent before Ghost was even released. It's safe to say we're probably not going to expect Ghost to be as impressive or as appealing to many others. I actually went as far to claiming that I could potentially see an Angry Video Game Nerd episode in the future where the nerd basically is like age 50 or whatever, and then pulling out an old PS4 and then popping in Call of Duty Ghosts and then playing it and then getting extremely angry and lashing out all sorts of cuss words at the television. I could literally see that happening in my head right now. And when you have a game like this that takes this exact sort of pitch scenario, then you really know that you've probably done something wrong with that. Very wrong. But like I've said, I'm not really willing to call it that bad of a game entirely or that good of a game entirely either. It's probably both. Bad and good, probably neutral, the way I see it. It's probably okay at most. But in its own right, even if it were just something of its own sort of style in its own way, I'm probably not going to do a whole lot with it. So right now, that's just pretty much where I'm at, and that's pretty much where I'm going to end it all at. Although I will say the ending is rather satisfying, where Rourke is on a train that is apparently going onto a bridge that's being blown up. And I tell you, the way that the main characters, they all fight Rourke while they're on a train that had fallen off of a bridge that got blown up, and they end up in the water pretty much, before the windows start to crack and then leak water within the engine itself, they end up putting a bullet into Rourke's chest. But yet somehow Rourke survives and ends up dragging those guys out of there. Oh man, how did Rourke not die from a chest shot? A bullet to the heart? Come on. That so should have killed that guy. Unless Rourke was maybe wearing a bulletproof vest or something, but I don't even know if that twist is supposed to save it from any other potential criticism of any sorts. And you know what? I guess we'll just leave it at that. The ending scene's probably the most memorable part that everybody might remember about it, including myself. Otherwise, I'm not really seeing a lot of potential out of it. So, I guess we'll just leave it as it is. But you know what though? I do have a lot of other Call of Duty games I might want to talk about later on. So, if you want to see more go down on my channel, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.